soon we won't have to do this.
This is the last one.
What?
This is the last one. You heard it first.
What?
Use your imagination.
I'm using my imagination today.
Welcome to the podcast Between the Sheets with Lea.
Welcome back,
Yes.
everybody.
You know what I'm saying? This is different.
Yes.
Why is this different, Dana?
Because we just evolving.
That's right.
we are evolving?
We got people they want to be like us.
They want the link tree.
They
want
love the juice and the
Our
tea.
vibe and our energy.
That's
Yes,
right.
Yes.
They love it.
Yes.
I
People
love
love it, and I
y'all.
love it. I
Good
love them for
feedback.
loving it. Yes.
Good feedback.
Yep.
And so we don't have a guest today.
No guests today.
guest.
And you guys
today.
didn't even really know what the topic was.
No.
Right. So we're kind of caught off guard here.
A little
I
bit.
love doing that because
Yes.
I don't like it to be prepared. I don't like it to be
Yep.
like planned out. I just want that real, raw.
This is Whitney's
authentic-
story part 2.
No, it's not.
Why you fart?
It's
So
not my story today.
early.
If you're on Spotify and you're just
What time is
she
it? It's
grabs
not
the
even.
mic and puts it in her chest.
Yeah, if you're on Spotify, she literally just stand up.
No.
Just turn around. If you're on YouTube, you should watch it.
Yep. If you're on YouTube, definitely watch.
Yeah, check it out.
So we had our last guest was Juanita, and she was talking a little bit about entrepreneurship, jumping at
Introduce
40.
yourself. We did
Yes.
this different. You didn't kick it
It's
off.
'cause
Who are you?
I got thrown off.
Who are you? My bad. I spoke like, hello, y'all. What's up? I'm Dana Keith. We
Dana
back.
My name is Lea. I am your host of Between the Sheets with Lea. And then I have
Welcome.
my co-host here,
And
who
that's
I
me.
love.
Yes,
And I love you.
we
I'm Dana
love you.
Keith. Dana Keith. Dana Keith.
Goodness gracious.
Say
Dana
his
Keith.
name. Say his name.
Father, say my name. Father, filmmaker, creator, owner of Dana Keith Film. You know what I'm saying? And I do a couple things: YouTube, vlog, podcast, shouty. You know what I'm saying? Try my best to stay alive and you know what I'm saying, push positivity. But I got my other co-hosts in the building. Whitney, what's up?
What's up? What's up? WHITNEY. Period.
I love it.
Period.
That's your thing
That's
now.
my thing.
That's your thing.
That's my thing.
Got
I'm
it.
good to be back. I'm happy to be back. Guys.
It's dope, like seeing the little
Yes.
triangle, like photo, video, makeup.
Yes.
Like that's kind of like the whole essence of the suite.
Yeah.
And it's cool to bring it back to that today.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Yes.
saying, for the podcast.
Yeah.
Bringing it back to more than just that, because I want to talk about some things that don't just come from talk, that it actually just comes from results, which is
Yes.
imagination. And so I'm teasing on the live here, talking about like we're going to talk about
Right.
imagination,
Right,
because
right,
you
right.
think
Right.
about that, you think about being a kid, right?
Right.
Yes.
Well, I immediately thought about like your imagination to create this thing that we are in.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it started with an image,
Yes.
right? And we could kind of start there. Like we heard earlier, that's the root word of imagination.
Yes.
And
Image.
Like so if you had and I'm speaking to Lea, like, and I could speak to the audience, like if you guys have an imagination, it starts with an image of what that is.
Yes.
And like it's cool to see, like for me, because like our stories, like I popped back up here and saw this thing kind of like it was built, but it was early.
Yes.
And now to see it like even more so, hearing things, seeing the papers, like the actual, pencil to pad, like thoughts and ideas come to life. That's special.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
yes.
And seeing the dynamic and the way that, we can impact these women's lives, like the way that experience is really transforming,
Yes.
like empowering women.
Yes.
Like that's so cool
That's
to
what
see.
I told our lady from yesterday. I told her in a private message because she messaged me afterwards and she was just like, I appreciate everything that you did for me, making me feel beautiful. And I was just like, wow, like this is so much more than pictures. I know we say it all the time, but you just never know how you're going to touch somebody's life and how, it's going to affect you, vice versa. Like
Right.
I love what I do.
Right.
Last night was confirmation in that.
And
Like,
they see that. I think that the
Yeah.
women coming in here, they definitely see it. That was one of the compliments that we received, was that they see the love behind what
Yes.
we do.
Right.
And I loved the compliment because this was her second shoot with us, that,
yeah.
this was bigger, better, and it exceeded her first time, which,
Right.
that to me is such a huge compliment because you guys
course.
add so much value to what is going on here,
Right.
and
yes.
I get to share that with you guys.
Right.
Yes.
Right. But
That's an
that
amazing thing.
that starts with the leader though.
Yep.
And then to give us that environment to be able to execute upon our passions, like that means a lot to me. And I know Whitney
Yes.
feels the same way. Like, like that gives us the inspiration to to really chase our dreams, you know? And once again, like what you said is like, people see that passion in you, and it starts with you.
Yes.
They see it in you, in the way that you execute your photo shoots, make these women feel, and really push love into their souls. Like there's a verbal way, and then also like in your execution of like your photos.
And the fact that all of that started with your imagination.
Right?
Well, you know what I love about photography and video is that you can see.
Yes.
And imagery, okay, is just that. So whether it's, you know, an imagery, you get to show people what you see. So it is such a wonderful gift because just like she said, I don't see myself this way, or somebody may not, you know, visualize something, but you can also help people along the way to push an image on them. And when I say that, I don't mean I'm pushing my images. You know, you guys get what I'm saying, but I'm Michael Todd.
It's more of like a true reflection of who they are versus who they see themselves to be.
So you let them borrow your eyes.
That's I was just about to say that. That's one of the things that I love every time you say it to your ladies is you just tell them, you know, I'm going to let you see with my eyes for a little bit so you can see a different side of you.
And it's a superpower. Like it really is. You get to let people see your video, what you see, what you know, and then turn it around to what they can see. And so that imagery is so important and powerful. The stuff that we see that goes on here for the reveal, you know, is one after another. It never gets old to me. It never gets old to me. It's just something new all the time because everybody experiences it differently. They receive it differently as well, you know, so.
Even in the time in the studio, like take a step back from the reveal. Like at the end of the shoot, like that's an emotion like that they hold forever. You know?
One of my favorite parts is when I make them get up after I'm finished with their makeup as a whole.
And go look.
And I always allow them to just come into the, because I know you guys have seen what the room looks like. If you're not, go to the website, take a peek. We put some videos out.
Airbnb plug.
Airbnb plug. But I make them forcefully walk and I step back to the side and just allow them to see themselves visually in a different light. And they always are just like, man, I've never seen myself look like this before. I didn't know I could look like this.
Those compliments, those are the real things. Like I wish I could capture. Like, because I'm in there setting up and stuff, and I always hear it, and they'll be like, "Oh, that's so sweet that they say that." Like that
you got to come 5 minutes earlier, Dana.
No,
right? Yeah.
No. I can't be in that room waiting for them, and they'll be like, "Oh no, I feel like it's a movie. It's a TV show."
It is a movie.
Well, it is a movie. We make a movie, but. It's authentic, is what I was saying. That the compliments are real, raw, and authentic, Miss Leah.
In between, yes, for sure. You guys, I wanna take this back because Whitney, you brought up a really good question, or maybe just a response that I was watching. Pastor Michael Todd, shout out Transformation Church.
She introduced me to Transformation First Church on Sunday.
Super dope,
man. She had me in tears. I was
not me.
He had me in tears, but just the delivery, like I wouldn't have. When would I have put that on?
Right.
That's something that you presented to me, so I was thankful for it in that light too. And what he said was spot on.
Right.
Spot on.
Right. Amen.
He's talking about, what did he say specifically? He said, "Where did your imagination die?"
Ooh, let's answer that question. What's up?
Yeah, like so I want to start out with you guys because and I actually want to start out with you because
go ahead, Whitney.
That hit you for a reason.
It's gonna make me teary-eyed again.
Yes, talk this.
But what he was saying was just so present because you just feel like at a certain point you have to grow up and you have to start being realistic with your life and your goals and your dreams. I would say the point for me where my imagination died. That's a hard topic. I really wanted to go to college at one point, and I have to say it. I love my mom very much, but she kind of killed my thought process in what I really could do. And it was just like, I don't have money for college. So I don't know what to tell you. So I would say probably at that point is when I stopped like dreaming and imagining things that were out of my reach because I have this adult parent telling me that's not possible. I don't have the money for that.
Right.
which is crazy because I still could have. I mean, look at the lady that we had in last night.
Yeah.
Her story and her journey and what she'd gone through, and she's about to have her bachelor's degree, and she's going to have it before she's 40. Like, that is huge.
So the dream's not dead.
No.
Right. The dream didn't die. It's like I remember at one point, I don't know what podcast it was, but it was like, who is feeding you?
Yes.
You know, and that story just hits my soul because as a child, and for me, I went to college, I didn't know shit. Like, I didn't know anything. I didn't know where I lived. I didn't know, like, the classes, where I was supposed to go. Nothing. You know what I'm saying? So, like, to hear that, I think about, like, we didn't know that there's even opportunities that they pay for our schooling.
Yeah.
If we do X, Y, and Z, X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But these, you know, opportunities just weren't, you know, laid on our plate. We were instead fed lack and scarcity of what they were feeling, you know, their imagination, because they could only imagine the high bill instead of, you know, an opportunity to solve that problem, whatever that looks like.
Instead of somebody just saying, no, you can dream and do whatever you want to do.
Right.
It's not going to come to you easy.
Yeah.
I don't know if I had said this or not in one of the podcasts, but I'm just going to bring it up again, is that we have often taught our kids, you know, for their birthdays.
Yeah.
When it's time to blow out the candle on the cake, is make a wish, but don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Don't
tell anybody your wish,
because
it'll ruin it.
Don't tell anybody because it's going to ruin it. So if you make a wish, don't speak it.
Don't speak it.
And, you know, I'm like, no, speak it.
Yeah.
Like, we need to be teaching our
kids.
Think
it. Imagine it.
Say it.
Yes.
Speak it
when
out loud.
When he got out of that car and was standing in front of that tower and was speaking it into existence, the amount of money that he spent on getting that together and just already pre-speaking it into fruition like that.
And not even the amount that he spent, the amount that was given.
Yes, given.
So that he could be able to do, you know, and grow the kingdom of God is so crazy. He talks about sowing, and I've said that before too. It's the one thing that God says, test me in this area. It's the only time that God asks you to test him in that area is in giving. He said, give, and I'm going to pour out to you. You know, and that is results. And that's what I want to talk about is the results of the imagination. But I do like to take it back because as a kid, as a child, I was a huge imagination person. Like we watched Freddy Krueger the other day, the first one, and I said I used to play this game. Like we used to play Freddy Krueger
in school.
What do you mean play Freddy Krueger?
With our imagination, like but you play and you act it out, right? So you imagine it.
She was telling me, she was like, let's pretend the teacher is like evil, and like they were that in depth.
Yeah, so we would be sitting next to each other. The teacher's teaching us, but I'm like, let's just pretend like he's like possessed right now, and you know, writing notes back and forth, and I'm like, and something's happening. That's how in depth my imagination was. And I'm not even joking about that. Like, so then it would continue on to recess.
That's awesome.
It would continue on after school
all day.
You was just playing Freddy Krueger all day.
That was one of the games we used to play. Grease. Childhood. We used to play Grease in the movie Grease.
Played Grease.
Like, like, let's pretend that you know, you're Danny Zuko and I'm Sandra D.
Acting it out on the playground.
Yes.
I can see you doing it, dancing. I can see it.
And you know the dances. You know the Grease dances. Do you?
In New York.
Because I see like you have like a leather jacket in your closet.
I know
right
she
now.
does. Yes.
Right now.
I do, black with pink on the inside. Yeah,
I would have been the beauty
girl.
school dropout.
Yep,
that would have been me.
Oh, see? But my imagination was huge. It was huge. And again, we did not have the distractions that we have nowadays. And so when you talk about kind of the loss of imagination, what are we giving our kids to imagine when we put something right in front of them all the time, you know, or they have something visual in front
I don't know. This is a cool topic. This is a cool topic because, well, one, I want to say this because it's interesting to see like kids' imaginations. Like
he talks about it in the post. He's like, there's this scene in the car and my daughter's sitting in the back seat and she's like, Daddy, do you see it? Do you see it? It's an elephant having a tea party with princesses. And he's like, I don't really see it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's that point that I was making with my mom. Like, you don't push down and kill somebody's dream.
Right. And he said he didn't see. He goes, I looked up, I saw some clouds.
Right.
He said, no, Daddy, the elephant's twirling. It looks so beautiful. And he said, what in the hell are you
Where the
talking
hell
about?
is this elephant at?
Yes. But he said, but something inside me told me, agree with her.
Don't stomp on their dream.
Yes. Agree with her. Yep. And agreement is so important that the word actually says that if two of you agree on one thing, that it should be done to you.
Yes.
And agreement is so powerful when you come into an agreement with someone and you are praying, because you guys know that prayer is an action.
Yes.
Because the word says that faith without action is dead. And just the fact that you're praying and speaking words is an action.
Yes.
Because
the power of tongue is an action.
Yes.
Yes.
Dang,
yes, it
deep.
is.
Yes.
If you're speaking
Evil.
and being a negative Nancy, and it's actually physically coming out of your mouth, that's what you're going to produce.
Imagination in the real world.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
I've never connected that in a full sense.
Yeah. And so what we're putting in front of our kids, okay, so you can agree or
so
disagree.
so going back to that, okay?
But
my son.
My time,
before
your son has, these things and all of this stuff and whatever. And again, when are we giving our kids the opportunity to go out and use their imagination without any distraction?
Especially in this day and age.
Are we doing that enough? Because they can be consumed by things and not have the opportunity or the time to dream.
Right.
Now, they can take inspiration, they can see things, and they can desire things that other people are doing. But what do you have for you, and what are you imagining that you can do?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that the space and the opportunity is very important to have that type of thing.
Absolutely.
My middle son.
So how would you encourage it?
Go outside.
Go play outside. I used to not want to come inside.
Yes.
Like, I would cry because I was grounded that I could not go outside and play after school. Kids don't want to be outside today.
They don't. That's the thing. They would rather be inside, on the TV, on a game, watching a movie, on the phone.
Yep.
And, even the little, I loved the little, what was it, the Pokemon thing that got so big where they had to
where
go
they were
and
going
explore?
outside and finding them, yeah.
And I was kind of back and forth on that because I was like, that's a little dangerous, but at the same time.
Running in the street.
Yeah, not even looking where they're going.
Balthazar's in the street. I'm going to go get him.
They got them kids off them couches.
But it did get them active, and I kind of
They was walking more than they walked the whole year.
Yes.
I didn't give my sons a phone.
Got to catch them all.
I don't think I gave my sons a phone until they were probably, I think my first son, he didn't even get one, I think, until he was about 15 or 16. And that wasn't a thing. Everybody had a phone at that time. Yeah. And he kept asking. And I said, no, you're not going to, I don't want you to have a phone yet. It's not the time. Yeah. And somebody had, and I think I told you this the other day, is that you need to really consider what this opens up the door to and what is available to them. And should it be, because one person said, you would never give the keys to a kid and say, go figure it out. Here you go. Here's the car. Go figure it out. Right. You need to teach them that this is a tool, and how to use it properly and things like that. But I think it's very important that we're giving the space and the opportunity to these kids to actually use their imagination, because imagination is the key. Yeah. It is the substance to faith.
Yes.
And faith then is the substance, and you have to have the action behind it to actually receive results. Because I say it over and over again, you can be a person that thinks about something on the couch all day.
Exactly.
But if you don't move from the couch and you don't do anything about it, it ain't going nowhere. You have to have that image.
Yes.
Then you have to have the faith that this can happen, and then the action behind it as well.
Yes.
And I, again, want to talk about results. I don't want to just speak about it. My results are real.
Yes.
Real-time results from writing things down, from, whether it was a notebook that I had that said, do this, do this, do this. Simple notes and tasks are a visual to-do. It's a to-do list.
Yes.
But it's something that you go back on. And why do you do that? Is so that you don't forget, that you remember, and that you know what you need to do. That's the same thing as a vision board, right? Mm-hmm. It is a visual of ideas, pictures, places you want to go, things you want to see, what you want to be. Right. And you have it in front of you so that you don't forget where you're going and what you need to do. right?
Yes.
And we have got to take it back to imagination and teach these kids at a young age that this is important to be able to receive whatever it is that you want. Now, people will start to think, what is imagination? Like what? So imagining, it's imagining something that is not right in front of you.
Yeah, can I say something?
Yes, please do.
I always think it's so interesting that, we know that, like, as a kid, they have the most powerful imagination.
Yes.
I think it'd be important to put ourselves in these shoes as well.
Yes.
That's his whole that was his whole message, is
be like a kid.
Like, we're that kid. Like, even so, as we speak about, like, what we would help the kids with, like, there's an adult that needs to hear this.
Yes.
And it might be me.
We stopped imagining at a certain point in your life. Like, we just stopped.
What about you, Dana? Do you feel like you, because I feel like you do imagine
a lot.
Yeah, I do. I'm probably like a serial imagination person. Like, I love, like, I really do. Like, I have a really big dream. And one of those things are, like, really personal to me. I don't really talk about, but, like, it's going to be, like, I have it vision. I have a clear vision. And my vision board is so important to me. You know what I mean? Because I started out in, like, 28, like 17 probably.
Has it evolved? Has it changed?
No.
Stays the same?
It's the same image of what I want my life to be. Like, how I'm doing it has evolved. And that's what I don't care. I don't care about how I get there.
Right.
I just know what I want and why I want it. You know what I'm saying? So, like, imagination is really powerful for me. You know what I mean? I will be honest with you. Like, when you said, like, has my imagination died? I couldn't think of a time unless I really go to, like, when I was really dark, when I was depressed and things like that. Like, my imagination did die because I thought my life, damn, that's emotional.
Yeah.
But I thought my life wasn't going to be what I imagined it could be. And I thought, like, I really think about, Les Brown has a speech where he says, like, imagine on your deathbed. It's so emotional to me because I'll cry right now because, like my dreams are so close to my soul that if I die, my dreams don't live. Nobody will take on my dream. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah, I think in that dark space, I lost it. I really did. And, like, I think in, like, my speech, like, or even, like, my part 2, like, you're trying to get me to talk about it. And it was just, like, I shut down and, like, I lost. I didn't want nothing to do with nothing. I low-key wanted to work at a gas station and just raise my son. That's all I wanted to do.
Just work and provide, and
that's it. Like, be a normal-ass person, have no aspirations, but just be there.
So talk about that for a second, because while you were in that place, that dark place, what were you imagining?
Death. Like,
black, dark, depression, sad.
Yeah,
and all those things were manifesting.
Right.
At that particular point.
Oh, of course. Oh, hell yeah. They were. And you know what? Your mind plays a trick on you. You know what I mean? Like, your dreams and your fears are really close.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I was just leaning on my fears versus my dreams at that time, like, reflecting on it. Like, I probably manifested a lot of the troubles that I've had on the last 2 years in that time.
He said this, which was so crazy to me. He said that if fear and dreams had a baby, it would be anxiety.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you're imagining something that's not even there, and you're thinking about something that could happen, and that's the fear part mixed with the imagery. Brings on anxiety.
I can't do this. I can't have that. That's impossible.
I'm not. Yes, and it can stop us. Anxiety can stop us in our tracks from being able to continue to.
And I think
dream.
it's funny that we always do this, but I want to bring it up. It's like, if we have imagination of the positive, imagination in negative is fear.
Yes.
Like, that's our own worst enemy, is us downplaying us and not giving ourselves the opportunity to live. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So give yourself that imagination to be great. And I feel like, without sounding crazy, like, that's what I try to do every day. Like, imagine, what the hell can I do today great? and just try to execute on all the things on my list. Cause I'm a freak. Like I write down I have notepads, like index, like my whole house is crazy with that stuff. Cause I have to write that stuff down. Yeah. But I really believe like that's a part of my imagination is seeing it. Yes. I think about it. I 100%. Speak it. And then I keep going back to these things. Cause I always say like, you know, if things happen on my timeline, I'd be rich. Yeah. But I'm on God's timeline and I got to work my path.
And that's
you know
where that faith comes in. Yes. And that's where that faith gets mixed in, because it may be not for this time right now, but it's for an appointed time. And you don't see it right now. Right. I just did a post because, you know, it's been a little over a year.
I seen that this morning.
The house burnt, since we had the house burned down. And I had popped up while I was preparing for this podcast and just kind of looking for a few pictures and whatnot. And I had a journal. And it was an entry from the journal that said, like, this will not stop me. Like, this is not going to define me. It's not going to move me like this. That I'm not going to allow fear to kick in, and I'm going to have my moment. I'm going to have my moment. Right. You know what I mean? And I'm going to cry. And I'm going to ask why. And I'm going to be in it, but then I'm going to let it go. Yeah. And, you know, I said on the other end of that, of course, I could not see what God was already, even ahead of those little idiots coming to the property. I was already taken care of. Yeah. I was already taken care of before the plan of destruction. Right. Yes. Right. I was already taken care of, you know, and 5% of arsonists case, they never get solved. Like only 5% get solved. And that's because of the destruction of evidence. Right. If it's truly an arsonist case, 86% of those people will come back to the scene to gloat about what they've done. They like to see it. And if ever convicted, the chances of receiving restitution or any kind of money or payback from that crime is very minimal, because you typically have to chase these people for years and years and years. Yeah. And they were caught 6 days later because they came back. Yeah. And they had to pay for everything up front, and they did. Right. But that wasn't my doing. That was like, God was like, look, I already got this good for you, you know? And I'll tell you that before we built this house, and I've said this before we built this house, before the concrete was poured on the ground, me and a few other individuals and my mom, we wrote down scriptures that were dear to our heart, that were very just faith-led scriptures, and we put them into the soil of the ground before they poured the foundation. And so the foundation went over those scriptures. And I had to have faith in that time that meant something. Yes. That what we wrote down meant something.
And that this was protected. That's pretty. Yes. I like that.
So that's just another form of writing things down and believing and having faith that what you're putting out there will succeed. Right. You know, that it will come into fruition. So no matter what that looks like. And I think another important thing to mention is that it doesn't start with the huge dream. You've got to build your faith. You have got to, it's baby steps. You have got to start with little things. Try it out. The exercises that I did with the girls, I told, you know, we talked about this before. It's baby steps. It's just imagine this and watch God work. Mm-hmm. Just try it. What do you have to lose? Right. I mean, honestly, what do you have to lose if you're just using your imagination on a regular basis? Yeah. Except for dreaming and you know, getting lost in a few minutes. Yeah. And the same reason why on one of the last podcasts, I told you, tell me what your house looks like. Yeah. 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 I did it on purpose because I wanted him to tell me what he saw in his head, because I know how powerful it is. I've seen it in action. I live it today. And it didn't start out with the house, you know, it started out with, maybe I want to become a photographer. Right. You know, that would be cool. Right. Right. What does that look like? You know, and I can think about instances where, and you know, some people call it daydreaming. Yeah. Which is fine. You kind of get lost in your thoughts for a moment, and you're thinking about what could be. And I was in my car driving, and I remember, you know, my husband, he has a construction. He works in the construction industry, and that industry is tough because you either have work and it's crazy busy, or you don't have work and things are slowed up and there's no consistency in it. And I desired for him so bad to have like a very consistent position and not be, you know, going back and forth. And now I have a job and now I don't. And I remember sitting in my car and I saw a truck go by and it had a company name on it. And I just remember thinking like, I desire that for him. Like I would love for him to be able to have a position where he could grow and he could learn and he's not worried, you know. And he ended up getting a position with the city of Colorado Springs.
Right.
And he stood there for, you know, quite some time, and it was an amazing position. And I didn't think about that moment of those thoughts until way later. And I was like, wow, you know, that's another thing that I imagined.
Yeah.
Like it was another thing that I took time just to think about.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I often will draw. I often will. And, you know, you said that to me. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this as well, is because if you start, it can happen.
Yes.
Like it's just as simple as that.
I love that.
Yes.
Yep.
It's just as simple as that. It doesn't have to be anything different. I am no different than you.
Right.
You are no different than me.
Right.
There are no, you know, he said it when he got into his position. Michael Toddy says, I didn't even have a degree.
Feel qualified.
No qualifications to be
Right.
able to be in this position that I'm in. I dropped out in 10th grade.
Right.
Right.
And I'm making six figures.
Right.
Not because I ended up going back to college and I got my GED and I did all that stuff, but that's not the reason why.
Right.
You know, it was because I'm following my dreams and my passions and my imaginations.
Right.
Right.
And that is huge, you know. So
And it didn't happen overnight.
no.
No.
It started with baby steps, and you start to see that there's almost, it feels like, and I don't want to use this word because people are going to think it's evil, but it starts to feel like magic. Like you start to feel like
Right, but here we go. You ready? Because I think this is cool. I'm gonna try and tie two things together. I need help with the name because I can't think of the movie, but the movie is like Think It Into Existence, and The Secret.
Yes.
So like when I found The Secret, like the movie, I started to realize what I've been doing my whole life. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy to say that, but like I started piecing it together. I was like, oh, this is the sauce. Like this is what people don't know.
Think and Grow Rich.
Yes.
Think and Grow Rich is my favorite book because it's literally that on paper. Like,
and it's trying to get you without saying it to know what that secret sauce is.
Right. And without saying it, but it's clear. You know what I mean? So just to spin this in full circle, because when you said this, it was kind of cool to me. I thought about it. The way that I found Charlie in the Chocolate Factory is that on my way home from here, I passed an RV place. And I knew that they were on tour in like Seattle or somewhere, and they were going to like come across. I didn't know if they were going to come here first, later. But I remember the reason why I thought to Google RV parks is because when I drive from your house to my house, I passed the RV. I was like, damn, we got RV parks here? I didn't even know that. So I then then later came back to me. If that's why I thought about RV parks when I imagine like, because I DM'd him 6 months ago, was like, hey, when you come to Colorado, I want to work with you. Yeah. And I imagined that first. And then to see like how that whole thing come to fruition. I told you when I got here, when I went crazy, like
he was high.
He was high.
You gotta understand, he promised me these couple things that didn't come true.
Yeah.
But I still imagine helping him in a bigger way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know what? I know that came true, like out of how it impacted Tony having the restaurant, now Brother Luck mentoring him. Yeah. On top of that, like I made a short film out of that.
And I just want to say, Dana, that that portion, that whole next portion, like what was going to happen with Charlie.
Right.
He was going to come and he had a mission.
It's not called The Chocolate Factory, y'all. Just so y'all know, anybody listen, it's Charlie in the Dream Machine. It's the Dream Machine tour and it's Dream Machine
and it's
team.
very colorful, so it looks like Charlie.
But it's hilarious.
And the Chocolate Factory.
And it's a funny joke with us, but
yes. But what I love about that portion of it, beyond everything else, is that you visualized it, you thought about it, and it happened. And you also were able to open up. You also were open. You opened up other avenues for this gentleman.
Yes. Yeah.
You did that.
Yes.
Right.
And I love that. So whatever that piece was, if it was just that whole man's life can be changed in just that one piece of mentorship, of just one piece of what you opened up, like, is so big.
It was crazy.
Huge.
It was wild to see, but it's the truth of what we're talking about.
Yes.
And I on my mom, I want to say this because, like, when I told my buddy, I said, "Hey, I'm gonna go find this guy." He thought I was crazy.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yes.
He thought I was crazy for real. He was like,
He wasn't using his imagination.
I was like, "Yo, I'm about to go find him." I'm saying this after my meeting. All right. I had already Googled RV parks and I already looked up. Oh, I'm gonna go find him. I was like, "Hey, Gregory, come with me." You know what I'm saying? He told me I was crazy, but this is how powerful.
Greg told you you're crazy?
No, my buddy who was at the meeting.
And Greg, what did he say?
Greg was excited. He was like, "Oh, I'm already having
take
fun."
That. Stop right there.
I'm already
just
having
a second,
fun
because we didn't talk enough, really quick, about those people that are speaking those things to you.
Yes.
And who is in your corner.
Yes.
And who
Yeah.
is supporting the dream, and who is your hype man.
But
and
let me
like,
finish this. I'm gonna be
Yes.
quick. All right. So when we started to actually find, like, our mission to find Charlie, by the time I started to the time I walked up on that bus, it was 15 minutes.
Wow.
I found that man in 15 minutes. And I'm telling you that because I had faith. I had blind faith that when I started, I was going to find him. And I filmed me saying that.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I love
I showed him. Like,
that is
it's
results.
crazy.
That
Yes.
is results of the way that your imagination can work and how powerful your thoughts are.
Yes.
How powerful.
And can I say
your
this?
thoughts
I'm
are.
not trying to boast or nothing, but on my mama, that video has been seen by over 200 million people
Yes.
of this homeless man getting his dream food truck come to life. 200 million people.
It's crazy. It's a blessing.
I played a part in that. God, it's not my plan. This was not my plan. This is God's plan.
He's using
And
you.
I just had an imagination that for that moment, I needed to be there. That's why God sent me.
And you have to understand that your limitations on what you think may happen with that, or where it may or may have not gone, are your limitations.
Right. And that's why
that is not God's limitations.
Right.
He has got bigger plans for things to come. And so it's always those little things that you may not be able to see it right now, but you're planning your faith and you are planning those imaginations to say something's going to happen. Yes. And I believe that we will look back on this podcast and we will look back on this day and be like, you see?
Yep.
You see?
Yeah.
Right.
Even bigger. As we're sitting here talking about it, that
Way
something will
bigger,
come
right.
Yes.
even more so.
Right.
I love
And that's
that.
the thing, is you can't dream too big or too small.
That's right.
One of the best things that I love about scripture is just you ask and you shall receive.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things.
But you gotta ask.
You have to ask. You have to open your mouth and ask for it. And if it's meant for you, you're going to get it. You may not get it on your time.
And sometimes even when it's not meant for you and you ask and you ask and you ask. There's actually a story in the word where they were asking for a king. They said, give us a king, give us a king. And Samuel, who was a prophet, God spoke to him and said, tell them that I am their king. And so he went back and he says, God said that he's your king. And they said, no. We want a king. Like, we want a king. And so he went back to God and said that they want a king. And he says, you tell them that I am their king. And they said, no. We want a king. We want it. They kept speaking it. They kept desiring it. And God said, okay, give them their king. And he gave them a king named Saul, who was very tormenting. And he was not the best king at all. And so they received what they asked for. They were diligent in what they asked for, and it may have not even been the best for them, but we can continue to pursue things that are also not in our best interest.
Yes.
And we can receive it.
Yes.
We choose whatever path we want to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we got to be careful with those things.
In that moment, you chose what you wanted.
Right.
You got what you wanted.
Right.
It's dope.
I love it.
I got something I always dwell in, but it's like, I don't know if it's a scripture, but I heard it from somewhere. And it's like, imagine if, like, what you believe in, God imagines something way better. Like something that you couldn't even imagine. He has something way better. I always, like, live on that.
Yes.
Like, just like, like my thoughts is just what I believe, my imagination, what as a body, a human, I'm thinking, and they're big dreams, don't get me wrong, but they could be bigger. Mm-hmm. But what God has planned, if I just can't even imagine, I get chills just thinking about like what's to come, like what he has like cooking. You know what I'm saying? So like,
yes, that's right. It's cooking because it's always in the, like, it's in the mist. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it's always in the works and we don't see it. I told you, I didn't see what he was already doing.
right.
You know, above and beyond.
Yes. Right.
Above and beyond. And that is the God that we live. Like that's the God that we live for. Like that's the God who created us out of his image.
Yep. Right.
You know, and so bringing it back, I want to ask you guys, when's the last time? Now, I know you do it often, but when's the last time that you've drawn something out, Whitney, that you've desired for your life?
I can't say that I've ever physically drawn something out. Mm-hmm. I speak it and verbalize it, and then I meditate on it. Mm-hmm.
What about writing things down? Do you journal?
I don't journal enough.
Or even make lists.
I don't journal enough. I do make lists. Yeah. I do make lists. Very diligent
for
lists.
you or for other people?
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
She makes me a lot of lists.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Because when you said draw it out, I thought about like, you know, I did a vision board, so there's pictures. Yes. I didn't draw nothing.
And there's no right or wrong.
No,
right? There's no right or wrong.
But when you said draw it out, like I immediately thought yesterday I reset my goals. I was like, I got to the end of this year. What do I need to do for the end of this year for me to be happy?
Yes.
And I wrote them out. You know what I mean? So when you said draw them out, I thought of a list. Now
right.
Flipping it back to Whitney, I want to encourage you or ask you, when is the last time the list has been about you and your goals? And have an imagination with that. So that's
I would say I feel like I manifested the situation in the career that I have now with Lea. Like I feel like I manifested that from start to finish. Even prior to Lea being in the picture, I was getting really stagnant in my lane of makeup, and I really wasn't touching people. I wasn't feeding what I really wanted to do. And you know, entertaining a possible career change and not doing makeup anymore. And I just, you know, I prayed about it several times and was like, God, I didn't spend all this time training and perfecting my this path for it to just disappear and just not exist anymore. And then you showed up.
Remember
and
how
gave
I showed
me
up again? You guys remember?
Hair blowing in the wind. Hold
she showed up and I have to say this part as well, because you know, it's very, very, very hard to make a living off just doing makeup. I need people to really understand, like, this is not, it can be profitable depending on the situation, but not in Colorado. It's just, it's not where the money is. So the fact, and I say this to every woman that sits in my chair, the fact that I get to do something that I truly love every single day is crazy to me. Because I thought makeup was always going to be a secondary to being an adult and having to pay my bills and having a job. That was always going to be just a hobby, and now it's my everyday, and I'm thankful for it every single day, because there's a lot of makeup artists that don't make any money and just give stuff away for free, and you know, that's usually just the life. But I'm grateful that, you know, I was just like, no, I want to do makeup. I'm going to do makeup. This is what I want to do. And it happened.
Yes.
It happened.
Yes.
And I've never, other than being in retail, like retail makeup, I've never had a consistent makeup job like this. Like this is my first consistent
Shout out Lea Flores.
Job. It is. All the other stuff was bits and pieces, wedding here, photo shoot here, getting somebody ready for like a military ball, but it was never my everyday.
Right.
So that, I would say, I spoke that into fruition.
I would challenge you, even, I love what you're saying, but I would challenge you, like, after this podcast moving forward, like, I would sit down with a clear sheet of paper and think about what's you next? And your dreams now.
Right.
And, you know, obviously today you're a different person. So, like, you have different goals and dreams. You know what I mean?
No, so, absolutely. I'm going to do it.
And writing it down. But then like there's a process, right?
There is. So and that's what I'm saying. You can, and I don't want to say you can't. You can dream as big as you want.
Do whatever the hell you want to do.
You can do whatever the heck you want. Right. So whether it's drawing it, making a list, putting up a vision board, cutting things out of a magazine, the
little bubble things people do.
Yes.
I don't do that, but like people do it.
Yes. You know, scrapbooking. I used to scrapbook the heck out of like just stuff and keeping it and putting it down, and it's so very important. And I again will just attest that the imagination started from a young age. I see my middle son is like me. He is probably the most like me, and he has such a huge imagination of what he desires to do, and he speaks it. And I'm going to do this, and I said, son, speak it. Keep speaking it. He's so positive when he gets around his other friends, and he's the one that tends to be the tower uplifter. For them, the uplifter, and just speaking, words.
I can see that.
He is.
He's a sweetheart.
I just love that kid.
And he got a good golf swing.
And yes, he really does.
He's gonna be better than all of them.
Yeah,
for real. On my mama, like he's good.
Yeah.
Talking about Zay.
Yes. Yeah, and
he's good.
He loves it, and so like Nando, he loves baseball, and Joey loves baseball, and Noah likes baseball too. He's not gotten into it as much, and Isaiah likes it,
right?
But Isaiah loves golf, and that's his thing. And the one thing that I always told him is, son, do you,
yes,
because he looked up to Joey so much and just admired him and you could see he wanted to be just like Joey, from growing up, and not that that's a bad thing, but I just told him, I want you to find who you are. It's going to be so important that you understand the value that you carry and being different and appreciating that and speak and say words and stand up for yourself, know. And he does that, my little Isaiah. So
that's your little twin.
He's my little twin. So it doesn't matter how it starts. It doesn't matter how you guys do it, but it does matter that you do start it.
Right. And that there is a process, right? So like it doesn't matter what step one is.
No.
Right? It could be looking through magazines. Right. Like mine was a vision board, and then I wrote out a whole list. Like I even broke mine down into all 6 categories, like family, financial, spiritual, business, personal development. I'm glad you
said that, because this works in every avenue of your life.
I did it all. Like, and I look back at that, like this past weekend, I was like, damn, like one of my goals, this is to bring it full circle. One of my goals on my list I wrote in 2018, I think I made this list, was to have any video that I'm a part of to be seen by over 100,000 people. Mm-hmm. And this video is over 200 million.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Do you see that?
Yes.
And I thought that I was going to film it or be in it. But I'm in it, and I'm also a part of that whole thing. Like, like that shit was crazy, like to go back. Okay. But there's a process, and that's what I want to speak about, because my whole thing is I write everything down. I think about it. I do visualize it. I have that image. But then I go do something to make progress on that.
And it could be something so
small.
Little.
Yes.
It could be something so little that you just go and talk to a person, that you just, go and walk into that room, that you go and go to that business.
So this is what I want people to get is that you have to make a challenge to yourself to do that. Mm-hmm.
It's difficult.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's almost a game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because there's apprehensions about it. There's also insecurities in
your
it.
Fears, your mind keep going. Everything that we talked about now is starting to that anxious whatever formula that was.
Yep.
That's now right in real time. Right?
Yes.
So like I would challenge people to like put yourself in those situations. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then on top of that, like it's even bigger than that. Like you have to dream bigger than what you believe, right? Because that blind faith is real.
Yes. And some of that fear that may come from that is good fear, because I always say that if it doesn't scare you a little bit, then it's not big enough.
That's how I treat invoices. Like if I'm not scared to send an invoice, I'm not charging the right price.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like you know what I'm saying? But that's the same thing. Like if before you do anything, if you're not getting anxious, like you may not be in the right place.
Right. And Mel Robbins put out a book called The 5-Second Rule. And I want to talk about that for just a second, because it talks about making these moves, just like what you were speaking about, just like what I was speaking about walking into the room, talking to that person, because there are insecurities, there's anxiousness, there's the fear of rejection, there's the fear of like, nothing's going to happen out of this. But what if?
Right. What if? That's what I love that.
But what if? Yes. And she says that there is an actual scientific method to your brain that you can re-trigger. Yeah. So that within 5 seconds.
5 seconds, you make that decision in 5 seconds.
And you move on it.
Yeah.
So the moment that your mind starts to say, nope, don't do that. Like, that's scary. Don't talk to them. Then you get up.
5 seconds, do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there begins a process
this
of
is
making
cool
it easier.
that came back full circle, because what I really wanted to say is challenge yourself to do different things and then make it a habit.
Yes.
Like that's when you start to change, when you start incorporating these new things.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
That's absolutely true, because she mentioned in her book about how it was her alarm clock, and she was going through a very bad depression because of the fact
waking up, getting up.
And she didn't want to even get up. She said it was just as small as wanting to get up out of bed, and her alarm clock would go off and she'd shut it off. Yep. And she would stay in bed, right? You know, and so she started to figure out this one, and she studied the brain. Yeah. Like she went in very scientifically about how the brain works, and so it was when it went off, she counted 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and she got up.
And she said she used to get, because I know this story. She said she used to get up and stand up on her bed.
Yes.
You know what I mean? like I'm up.
Right.
One action.
You get it?
Action.
That's so powerful, because we trying to tell people like one step really matters.
Yes.
And her step that mattered was the first one.
Yeah.
Was in 5 seconds, I'm getting up.
Yes.
My feet need to touch the floor. I need to jump up. I need to do something.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So like whatever it is, I know Whitney said like in makeup it's hard for this craft in this place. Somebody else is feeling those same struggles somewhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like I want them to know that Whitney took one step, Lea took one step, I took one step, and then we kept taking whatever that damn step is. Please take it.
Yes. It's strange because there's sometimes, and I'm thinking about it, there's sometimes in my life where that step was like, there was no qualm on it. Like I thought about being at DFW and being a person of just watching it and being a part of the entry.
All right,
and
for all the people like me, DFW, break it down, because you're not giving yourself the right credit.
Denver Fashion Week, Denver Fashion Week.
Killing Denver Fashion Week.
I remember sitting in the chair after our category had won, and I wasn't a part of the show at all. And I looked at my significant other at the time, and I was like, I'm going to be here next year doing makeup. And I was.
Yes. Amen.
Like there was no, like I knew I needed to be backstage. Like I knew I was supposed to be there. So like those choices, when I come to in that moment, like those are so powerful because there was no hesitation. I was going to do whatever it took to get to where I wanted to be.
Remembering those exact moments that will help push you into the next.
That image at that moment. And then that emotional connection with that image pushed her to get that. You
guys just triggered that in my brain. I'm like, damn.
That's exactly what happened. Hell yeah, you did that, Whitney. Hell yeah.
And you have to also, guys, you guys need to understand too that when we talked about this, you and I just kind of sidelined that. There's going to be times that you may do something and you will not receive any type of accreditation for it. Accolades, thanks, gratitude. You may not receive anything, but what you need to remember is that it happened. And that you did that. And that you thought that and that it happened. And let that be the next movement for you, because that is it in real action. Like that is it. And that's all you need. You know what I love to do to people is I say, shh, show me. Stop talking. Stop talking and start doing. Stop talking and start doing. Action is everything. If you don't have that action behind that imagery, then it's dead.
Right.
So I brought out a couple of little pieces of papers here. That
shoot.
It's a paper, y'all.
Hold on. Can we bring this full circle? Because I'm going to joke on you. Can I joke on you?
No,
Am I allowed to?
You always do.
All right.
Doesn't matter.
You talked in the beginning. You wanted to say this message to the kids.
Right.
You wanted to tell them that, like, you know, when you have a birthday, you're supposed to speak your dreams. And then we ended this with, like, shut up and act on it. I want people to understand that there is a process from one to the other, and that Lea loves y'all.
Shut up and just do it. I'm just kidding.
Listen. Let me emphasize on that, because as I was saying it, I was like, that does sound like, wait, should you speak it or should you not?
Right. You have to.
I also want you guys to understand that there are people that can try to kill your dream. And if you put it out there are people that will speak against it. And there are people that don't desire for it to happen. And there are people that will just try to
You are talking right now.
you away from that
You know what?
thing.
And you were on it, and I'm not going to speak too much in depth in it, but I prayed on it, and he removed me from it immediately and made a way regardless for me. That.
So in some instances, there's a time and a place where maybe what you're doing stays low key for a while, and then you just show up. And then it just pops off, and people don't know exactly what you're doing. But that does not mean that you ain't speaking it to him, that you ain't speaking it aloud in your privacy.
You're not living it.
Right. That's right.
It's just not on show.
And so I just want to emphasize that. So there's times where if you speak it too fast or you say it too fast, your haters, they're going to try to speak against it. Okay. And they're going to try, oh no, don't do that. And those people who we think could be our friends, and sometimes they don't even realize that they're doing it. That's the thing. Some people don't realize they want you to be safe.
They think they're helping you.
They think that they're helping you, and they're hey, you know what? You shouldn't do that. Hey, don't cross that. You got to be careful. So
I'm so happy you did this. Somebody needed this.
Because it's important. It's so important to know that we do very cautiously tell our kids, tell other people, be careful. Don't do that. You can't, you got to be safe. You got to do this. You got to do that. And it's always playing this safe game. Well, sometimes you got to be irrational. Sometimes you got to take risks. Sometimes you have to do what you know inside of your heart and your gut that you are supposed to do. You have to push the button.
Jesus.
Yes.
I feel like, amen.
You got to push
Hallelujah.
it. Yes.
And so when I say that portion is just that sometimes keep it quiet to others, and speak it out to yourself, speak it out to God, and then live it and actually be doing it. They don't need to be seeing every single move you make.
You want to know something that this just comes to me, because I always battle with this, like speaking the dreams and then like actually speaking it before it actually happens, and like there's like a battle between that, right? And I feel like when I went through my depression, like I cut off social media because I wanted to do it for me first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like whether that was video, running, exercise, eating better, all those things, like I really worked on at all, like step by step.
Yeah.
And like I didn't want nobody to see.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think there's some part of me now, and I had to get to this. I was this for a long time, but I lost it. Is that if you don't give a flying fuck about somebody else's opinion, then put it out. Like put that stuff out. Put out all your dreams. It's when somebody else's negativity can then penetrate your own self fears and worries. That's when it pays a toll, because if you even can be bothered by that, it's not worth the risk. You know what I'm saying? What's more worth it is putting the real efforts into you, speaking it out loud to you, right? Because that's so important. First is speak it to you. Believe it within you. Like see that dream for you.
I want to say that there is.
I got chills, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Come to Pastor Church over here. Goddamn at Leah's Between the Sheets podcast every week. You know what I'm saying?
This is what I've been praying for. This is what I've been imagining. I just want to say that Jesus, he went to a house to raise somebody from the dead. And he was dead. The man was dead. And so when he showed up, they said, "Why are you here? He's already dead." And it was because he was late, right? To them, he was late. He was actually right on time.
Right.
But in their eyes, he's already dead. Why are you showing up now? Like we were asking for you to come way before this happened. And now you're just showing up?
It's too late.
And he
dead.
said, "Tell everybody to get out of this house."
Everybody
leave.
That
He said, everybody all of you need to leave. And he went into that place and he shut the doors, and in private, he did what he needed to do. And so it's very important that when you are in a room of people that are not giving you the motivation, that are not edifying you, that are not building you up, that are saying no, that you tell them you got to go. You got to leave this room because I need space to allow this to happen. If Jesus needed them to leave, How important is it for us to say, you gotta go clear
the room? Yes.
So
Lea is speaking today.
It's important because Jesus needed it, guys. Like that story is there for a reason.
Yes.
It's there to tell us, like, you gotta be careful with those people, because it can kill what you're trying to do.
Yes.
You know, and if it was that important for him to say, gotta go, you gotta leave, you guys gotta leave, then it's important for us to know who's feeding us, like know who is in our circle.
Yes.
Building us up, edifying us.
Yes, child.
So that was one thing I was going to just, I was trying to look it up really quick, but I just like, no, I gotta
all right, what you got to show us? Because we started the podcast with this.
Yeah.
And I didn't know. I had no clue.
Well, and
but you know how I get down.
They can't see on my screen, but I want you guys to see on my screen that these are drawings that I've had that I've saved. And it's as simple as this. It's as simple as, this is all it, I'm not an artist in the way that I was like, okay, I just said, here's the room, here's the house. And what's really funny is it changed.
Right.
It definitely changed.
Right.
But here's my office.
Yes.
Okay. So let's just turn it this way, right?
Right.
Like, let's turn it like, how does it go? This way.
Yes.
This way. This is how it goes. But here's the office, right? And then you go into this area here. So things changed with it.
Right.
But I knew that, look, here's the garage. Here's the patio. My master is back here. There was going to be a den, which I pictured it a little bit differently, but my office was right here.
Right.
This office was the first.
I was just about to ask, was that the first thing you put down?
This was the first it wasn't the first thing that I put down. I did the full scale of the actual drawing. But this was the first wall to go up.
Ooh, that's hard.
Yes.
So,
this one.
Yes. This wall was the very first wall to go up when they put the house up, and I just happened to be here
at that moment.
At that moment. I was standing at my mom's house, and I said this too before, is that it's so important to continue to feed your dreams. You have to continue to feed your dreams, because they can go stagnant. They can, if you're not doing something. And so I would show up on this property all the time because I was so excited to see my thoughts in action.
Right.
It just did something for me. It was like, you thought that, you thought that, and here it is. It's happening. How?
Yeah.
Right.
How? Who he brought? How it happened? I don't know. It just happened because I thought about it, and it just took one step of me. Okay, well, how would this look?
Right.
How would this look? My landscaping.
That's the one.
I love it. Look at this, my little landscaping. This is and this too, it's changed.
See, that's the one that I saw.
Yeah, and I have my wheels there now. And my little bridge, know. Here is the actual drawing. This was the very first drawing. Yeah. This was another drawing that the studio was drawn out.
Yeah.
Everything was drawn out for me, and that's just kind of how I do it. Yeah. And Pinterest is
no.
Pinterest
that's not just
horrible.
how you do it. That's just how it's done.
Right.
Like, you're executing upon a formula.
Yes.
And
this isn't Leah's secret formula. Yeah. This is entitled to anybody that wants this.
Yes.
Write it out, draw it out, believe it, see it, imagine it. Use your imagination to feel what it feels like to be in that home when it's on paper.
Yes.
And then go get it, because then you're going to be aware of opportunities to execute upon it.
And I will say, I haven't shared this with too many people, and I don't know if it did happen already, and I'm not sure. I say this because it did and it didn't, but when I got here to this place and I started thinking about the studio, and then I started thinking about how to make other avenues. It's always about other avenues of income.
Of course.
So that eventually it could be passive.
Entrepreneur life.
I saw in my head a couple here, and I saw this in the backyard, and I was pointing to the mountains.
Right.
And she had long hair, and it was a white couple.
Right.
And the gentleman was standing behind, and they were just like, yeah, it's a beautiful view. We were just kind of talking. I just remember pointing.
Right.
And
I think it did happen.
Whether it was Lindsay and Max, or Lindsay and his wife, when they came down to start the Airbnb process, and I was showing them the property, and we walked to the back, and Whitney was with me. Yep. And I was like, this is the backyard. And they said, how far does this property go out? I said, oh, it goes out to here.
He said, oh, you mean the mountains?
He said, she rich as fuck.
That's hilarious.
I said, the sky's the limit.
And even then, it's not.
Yep.
Even then, it's not.
Yep.
But imagine it, yes,
Yeah.
and that's what this whole thing was about. Is I will definitely encourage everybody to get your pencil,
Yes.
make a list,
I got my homework.
put what it is that you want. Start small. Start big if you want.
Yeah.
But if you need to see it in action so that you can start to build your faith, then start with something small and watch God do what He does best.
Right.
Just put it out there.
Yep.
Have faith, have trust, make small movements to make it happen.
Yes.
Pick up the phone, call that person, go talk to them, walk in the building that you drive by all the time that you just know, I need to go in there.
Right.
Yeah.
There's something there for me. Act on it.
Yep.
Don't hesitate.
Don't hesitate. Any final thoughts?
I mean, I could tell y'all a million stories. Shoot.
What? Yes.
Like my car is manifested. Like that. Like there's so many things in my life. Like my job at T-Mobile, that position was
Yes.
manifested.
Yes.
Like a lot of stuff. So like this is beautiful to see.
I agree
Yours.
with
And
you.
I always tell you this is my favorite part, that you write it down.
Yeah.
Because that's close to
Yes.
my heart. Cause
Well, and I'm going to tell everybody I took a big jump. I took a big jump.
yeah.
Took a big jump.
Oh shoot. Oh shoot. Oh shoot. Oh shoot. We got alerts. Dun, 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 dun. News
I don't
warning.
know. I mean, look,
Hey,
big
go
jump.
shawty.
you know, I put in my 2 weeks to my other position
Good
so I
for
can be
you.
here with Lea full time and take some
All
relief
right,
off
can
her
I
shoulders.
give you your
and-
flowers?
What? I mean,
Can I?
I am, yes, but
Am I allowed to?
I spoke that in, I spoke it in prayer and was just like, Lord, I'm in a situation right now that I'm not safe in. I'm not safe in progressing. I'm not safe in my movements. It's messing with my career. It's messing with my energy in my job. Whatever you need to do, Lord, please remove me from it. And Leah's made a huge way for me. So I am jumping into a new avenue of
You
work.
go, girl.
And we gonna be doing some big things. Some big things. I can say that. Yeah.
All
yeah.
right.
Yes.
I love it.
It's
yes.
not just one avenue. There's
All right.
many avenues.
No. Yes.
So I
yes.
applaud you, and I love
Aw,
what you're
thank
doing.
you.
I think I'm gonna be careful with my words. I think you're excellent, and
Thank
you
you.
execute upon what you do great.
Thank you.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you.
And that's what I want to say.
Yay.
Love
thank
it.
you.
I want to end with just a couple of things really quick. I said this to you guys before, this scripture. It's in Habakkuk, and it says, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. Okay, so first just hear that really quick. So that he may run that readeth it. So there's action, okay?
Right.
It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time. Okay, it's yet for an appointed time, so it may not happen immediately, guys, but it may be for appointed time.
Right.
And it says, but surely it will come, it will not tarry.
Right.
Okay, another one I just want to give to you guys really quick. I have them lined up today. Yes! Is Hebrews 11:1. It says, faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see. So it is being certain of what we do not see. And the last one I want to read you is Proverbs 29:18 that says, where there is no vision, the people perish. So make sure that you're dreaming. Use your imagination. Use the tools that God has already given you and placed within you and make it happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
We out.
Bye, y'all.
Hey.
Woo!
Yeah, see, you guys liked it, huh? You guys liked it.
This is the last one.
Between the sheets with Lee.